I'm Dr. Scott Fuller. On this segment, we're going to talk about standing ergonomics, how you manage the standing position to reduce pain and inflammation and aggravation, etc. Let me give you an example. One of my patients was a cook. He had injured his lower back in a car accident. We started working on him. Luckily, his injuries were very minor, so within a couple of weeks, he was back to work. Well, of course, he was standing at his workstation like this, bent over, and within an hour of working, his back hurt, and as the shift went on, his back pain got worse. So he came back to see me, and he said, my back is killing me when I'm at work, and what can I do about that? And I said, no problem. We're going to modify that with the most important thing I'm going to tell you all right now, which is this modification. Here's what you're going to be doing. I call this the Dr. Fuller Spreadeagle stance. Not all that attractive, but really effective. So what I had him doing was standing like this in front of his counter. Instead of being standing and bent forward like this, which caused all this stress and pressure in the back, he now stood like this, if you will, the spread eagle, right? Like so. So now he doesn't have to bend over and he's doing his work like this. He said, that was so awesome. My back didn't hurt at all during the shift, and he taught everybody that he worked with the same thing, provided there's enough space where they could all do this, next to each other in a kitchen, right? So that's the most important thing that I can tell you about the standing ergonomics. Well, let me give you my history. My first experience with chiropractic, I was a child brought in from wellness and maintenance care because both of my mom and dad had back problems, and they were going to a chiropractor back in the 70s. So they started bringing in the kids for wellness and maintenance care. That was my first experience with chiropractic. When I was 15 years old, I got a dishwashing job, and I was standing, washing pots and pans and so forth like this for hours, right? My back was killing me at the end of the shift. I'd go to the chiropractor and get worked on and feel better, and then I would go back and do this again, and my back was killing me again. I thought, this is crazy. I'm 15 years old and I get back pain. That's where I came up with the spread eagle stance. And I figured out, if I stand like this, I'm not bending forward at my waist any longer. My back doesn't hurt at all. And I have done this every day ever since. This simple little technique has helped me with a lot of back pain. This prompted my book, Happy Back, which is all about how to care for your spine on your own, and it's loaded with these little ergonomic tricks like this one here to save you a lot of aggravation. Again, might not be the most attractive position in the world, and if you're at home in front of your sink and you have stocking feet on a tile floor, that might not work as well, so you might need slippers or shoes or something like that. Okay? But standing like this, it is so much more comfortable. I've had hundreds of my patients come back and say, this was the thing to help me. One of my patients came in and said, thanks, Dr. Fuller, my spine is feeling great, but I'm having this party over the weekend. I'm going to be doing a lot of cooking, and I know my back is going to kill me, because it always does anytime I'm in the kitchen for a long period of time. So I said, no problem. I showed her this little thing. I said, do it. She's going to do most of her cooking before people arrive, so they wouldn't laugh at her for standing like this. And she came back to me the next week and said, that was perfect. I didn't have any pain whatsoever when I was cooking. So do that little exercise, and that will help you a lot. In front of a sink works, but it also works in front of, let's say, an ironing board. So let's say you're going to be doing some ironing, and the typical position would be bent forward and doing the work like this. I've had many of my patients come in and say after a marathon ironing session, their back is killing them. Well, you can do the same thing, a spread eagle stance like this. But there's a couple of other things that you can do too. To keep moving around and changing your position is a benefit. So let's say I'm at an ironing board and I'm going to put something like a small footstool underneath. I could put my foot up on something and continue working. And after a while, I might switch my stance to the other side and continue working. Then I can go back and do the spread eagle stance for a while. Another one that I can do is a scissor stance. So not even putting my foot up on anything, I can go into a scissor stance, bend the knees a little bit, put the pressure into the legs, and continue working. Or switch the scissor stance and then do it like this. If you're a person that has a standing type of hobby, whatever it might be, artwork and carpentry, etc., you can try these different positions. I understand that this spread eagle might not work in all situations because there's stuff around you. So you can use this or the scissor stance in both directions, or put your foot up on something. And you might find, depending on where you are, The higher that your foot is elevated, the better off it is and the more comfortable it is. If your foot is on a footstool, it might be okay, but if your foot is up higher, it's even more comfortable, and keep switching those positions. Another thing to do, of course, is to take breaks. Now, I have another YouTube video that talks about spine exercises, my basic spine exercises that I show all of my patients. So you could take a break every once in a while and do a few of these, or a couple of those side to side, or one of these neck extensions like this, and then go right back to work and changing up your positions. I've had some people, if they're at a sink and they don't want to do the spread eagle stance here, they'll open up the cabinet door and put their foot on a shelf on the inside and just stretch like that a little bit and continue working. So there's a variety of ways that you can modify that standing position and take care of that and reduce the irritation. A couple of other things. I call this next part the museum shuffle. So let's say you and I went to the museum and we shuffle along and stop and look at something interesting and shuffle along and stop and look at something interesting. My back, even though it feels wonderful all the time, my back would actually start hurting after an hour or two of that, the museum shuffle as I call it. Well, it would be the same thing, grocery shopping, which a lot of people tell me, moving slowly and getting some items and so on and so forth, or regular shopping at a mall, you're moving around and slowly shuffling, and by the end of that, a lot of people's backs aches. And then they want to sit down and take a break, right? Okay. So what we can do is a couple of things. Number one is you can do what is called a pelvic tilt. So if you're standing around, you can actually tilt your pelvis down like this, okay? I'm going to exaggerate. Now, of course, if you're standing around at an event, you're not going to stand like this. Kind of silly, huh? But I'm showing you this is what you're going to be doing. You're going to tuck your rear end down like this and contract your ab muscles a little bit to approximate this position. Right now, it takes the pressure right out of my back. Well, you can do this in a subtle manner where no one will actually notice. So you can tilt the pelvis down, contract your ab muscles a little bit, and that will take the pressure off as you're standing around. Some of you have already figured out as you're standing around in different events, you're going to put pressure on one leg like so, then switch to the other leg for a while. Then you might sit for a while like so. Then you might, depending on if it's appropriate, stand and put your feet up. Again, if it's appropriate, maybe putting your foot on the second or third stair if there's some stairs there and do it like this, and then switch to the other side as I had said earlier. Then you're going to switch and maybe stand like so for a while. Then you could stand with a little bit of a pelvic tilt and then lean on one leg and then lean on the other and then sit for a while. So if you keep moving around like that, that's going to help you a lot from managing standing stress. Now with lifting, I'm going to be doing more in-depth programs on lifting, but most people tend to lift things like so, coming down and bending at the waist and lifting like that. That's not a good idea. So what you can do is, again, apply that spread eagle stance. If you spread the feet apart, then bend the knees and start lifting almost like a squat. You can see where that's going to benefit taking a lot of pressure off of your lower back as well. So you can use that for lifting purposes. If you're standing in line somewhere as well, you can employ some of these strategies, as in leaning on one leg, leaning on the other, separating the feet apart for a little while like this, doing one of those pelvic tilts for a while, putting your foot up on something if there's something nearby, so you can manage standing in line, which also bothers me too. For women oftentimes wear high heels. A lot of my patients will come into me and say, you know, I went to an event over the weekend and I wore high heels for a bunch of hours and I tend not to and my back is killing me. The reason for that is most of us tend to have too much curve in our lower back. When you put heels on there, we increase the curve even further. So wearing high heels for a long period of time will irritate the back as well. Luckily, a lot of women's shoes now are in fashion that are not high heels, and the square toe boxes are more in fashion. So you have a lot more, not the spiky toes like this, which completely destroy women's feet over time. So these better shoes are in fashion, which is going to help you a lot. Some women, keep in mind now, some women will wear high heels and actually feels better because they have a back that actually benefits from that curve. Now, these standing modifications might not be enough to take care of your lower back and neck and shoulder problems, so you might need an evaluation at a chiropractic office with some x-rays. You might need additional adjustments, dietary modifications, and certain supplements. I'm Dr. Scott Fuller. Please join me again.